I thought I had to start the broadcast for anybody to hear me. I guess not. Oh, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm just hanging out, relaxing. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Getting a little late start here. I'm not totally fully prepared here.
Seems
Kind
it
of,
looks like you changed your icon to an owl.
yeah, I came across this picture. It's Al, but he's taking a step. If you look at the picture, they got it while it's just in the middle of taking a step. You see?
Yeah,
Uh,
I hope no Christians come in here and claim you like joined Bohemian Grove or something. You know?
Bohemian Grove. No, no, I'm not worshiping or burning any uh
Don't
owl.
they worship an owl or something? As far as I know.
I don't know if they worship it. I know it might be one of its symbols. Because, owl is supposed to symbolize wisdom, you know.
Well, I guess I don't have any of that. So
I'm sure you have some wisdom.
Beautiful wisdom.
we finally for you don't I don't know if you know Brother John, but we finally installed a voice modulator. I can't even speak tonight. In
Oh,
Reuven, so Reuven could talk now.
are you serious?
Shalom Aleichem friends.
See? Yeah.
He
He said shalom.
did he do that or you did that?
That's him. We installed it today, you know?
Get out. What is that? Something through
That's
Google?
crazy.
But I don't know if I could deal with the female voice.
Oh, come on. There's always a sausage factory in here, man. Come on.
I see.
What's
Well,
go- what the hell is going on here?
who is that? Is that Benny?
I think that's Vin Diesel.
So see, now this is where it's gonna get all messed up. Everybody can change their voice now, and we ain't gonna know who's who.
I'm not changing anything, man. I'm like Mary Poppins, practically perfect in every way.
You changed your icon.
That's true. I did.
Again, people in here I don't even know. Ben, I know vaguely. Oh, Sappho, I think we met once. Cool. You know me, dude. We are friends.
Benny's a gangster.
Yes.
Benny's a real gangster.
Cool. I'm hoping.
How you doing, John?
Hi, Michael. How you doing? You hear me?
I'm
Yeah.
doing great, buddy.
Oh, cool.
What's
Good.
the subject today?
Well, didn't you see the? Did you see the subject line? We're going to talk about toxic thoughts. Okay, hold on a
The
second
world's
here.
full of them.
I'm
Mike,
getting-
Mike, are you lagging a little bit? You sound like I need a flying DeLorean to catch up to you.
I think I'm getting. I don't know if I'm getting. I'm hearing beeps. I don't know if that's me or someone else.
Yeah, Benny, can you mute? I hear the little piss driplets.
No, you might be hearing my creaking behind me.
Oh, okay.
That's what you're hearing. Wow, that's pretty good because nobody usually picks that up. Nobody can usually hear it.
Yeah,
I
I
can
have
hear it, right?
supersonic. Yeah, I have supersonic ears, I guess.
Yeah, I'm in my I'm on my patio, kind of, in the screened-in patio, and the creek right behind me.
Hey, Prescott, how you doing, man?
Hello. Hey, Prescott, I'm glad you can make it, man.
Yeah,
Oh, don't sound so enthused.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, I mean, nobody's putting a gun to your head, you know?
I was looking forward to this for 2 minutes.
Oh, thanks.
Hello Prescott.
Did you hear that, Prescott?
Yeah, I don't know if Prescott knows, but we installed a voice modulator
That's
for
crazy.
Reuven, so he can hear, he can talk now.
Wow, this is nuts.
Oh my goodness.
All right, well, I'm going to jump into the topic. I just pulled something off online, so I'm going to read a little thing from there, and then there's like a bunch of different toxic thoughts that we probably, each of us have definitely experienced one way, form, or another, maybe one or more. So I thought maybe we talk about this. I thought it was an important topic, um, especially that I know people that are dealing with depression, and I thought maybe this could kind of help it. Maybe, I mean, I think it can help me because I know definitely at least one of these toxic thoughts I go through, and we'll talk about that. And so maybe we can, any of us can relate to this, or offer any insights or whatever, not agree or disagree with what I'm reading, but just so that we could provoke some thought. So, yeah, I'm going to read a little bit, and then we're going to go to the, we have about, I don't know how many we'll get through, who knows? We got about 10 toxic thoughts. And so, here, are toxic thoughts sabotaging your life? Could be. Therapists like Heidi Banks say such thoughts, which she defines as any thoughts that keep you locked in low self-esteem, can do a number on your emotional and even physical health. That means in many instances that we can change the way we feel by changing the way we think. If we actively shift our thoughts, we can change how we feel inside. New York psychologist Dr. Debbie Magid tells CBS, what we experience in the world is based on what we think, where we focus. That is why she says two people can experience the same event, say for example a barbecue moved inside due to a storm, and have radically different experiences. One guest may leave the party and think the whole thing was a disaster. Another may leave thinking that the rush to bring in everything in from the rain was fun, and that the chaos brought everyone together. Quote, two people, same experience, will have different outcomes based on where they focus, Magid says. It's quite simple, almost too easy. Still, it's hard to argue. Think healthy thoughts, lead a healthier emotional life. And this goes into our first question. Wait, just another paragraph. Are toxic thoughts ruining your life? Ask people to list 10 things they like about themselves, and they can't get past 3. Says again, psychologist Heidi Banks. What they don't like, the list is endless. Maybe it's time to do a thought inventory. Get rid of those old, worn-out ideas that could be preventing you from achieving physical and emotional health. How do you do that? To start, consider reining in what you expect out of life. We live in a society where we are programmed to think we are losers if we are not millionaires or on the cover of a magazine, says clinical psychologist Dr. Angela Wilder. Unrealistic goals lead to disappointment. And even if you do set high goals and reach them, happiness isn't assured. So, I don't know, before I go to the first toxic thought, did anybody want to comment on that? Any of that? Nobody. Does anybody hear me?
I'll comment.
Okay.
I hear you.
All right. I mean, I'm saying something.
I hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I guess you're in deep thought. Go ahead, Prescott.
Oh, well, it is kind of funny that the suggestion is that part of the problem is that we have a culture that's putting all these ideas and stuff in front of us that's causing this anxiety for ourselves. But isn't telling me that I've got all these negative thoughts that I now have to change and put positive thoughts in just a different kind of isn't it just a different form of what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. I don't have ESP.
That's not true.
That's not true. You're right. I probably do have some ESP.
Yep. It's in the same way that the purpose of the society doing that. Or, well, I shouldn't say society. Let me be more direct. If
Okay.
you have media that's bombarding me with these images, that leads to the anxiety. And the anxiety that I feel is that I look at what society's telling me what I'm supposed to be, that I'm not. How's that any different than a psychologist coming along and telling me that the problem that I have is that I've got all these negative thoughts and I need to replace them with positive thoughts? That's just a different kind of advertising. There. That's it.
Okay.
Makes sense to me.
All right.
Yeah, you're replacing one material thing for another, huh?
Well, yeah. And I'm not saying that it's necessarily a bad thing, but I'm just saying that how's it any different? I mean, well, it is. I suppose it is different in one sense, but it's kind of like somebody has set up the idol of what they think I should be. And I should be this person filled with positive thoughts, and I should be able to have this endless list of positive traits that I should be able to recall at a moment's notice. Well, and an advertiser that is telling me that I should lose about 50 pounds or whatever.
Well, so you're equating to the psychologist evaluating the problem with like a weight loss commercial?
See,
With the problem itself.
Okay, I mean, maybe I see.
What you got for us, Michael?
I'm going nowhere. Go, Mike.
I'm trying to fully understand.
I actually understand it completely what you're trying to say, Prescott.
I know.
It's hard to put into words, but I got you.
Come on, John. Maybe I can understand your spin.
I guess what Prescott is saying is that you like the color red. That's making you unhappy. Like the color blue. I mean, that's literally what they're trying to say, right?
Man, I wish I could do that.
Do you think that's yeah, really? I mean,
I'm verbose.
red or blue, you know, doesn't carry a good or bad to it. It's just preference, you know. So you think?
I like to hear what Michael has to say. He seems like he's a little laggy tonight.
Michael, you out there? You might have to unmute before you... There you go.
I'm just really listening, trying to get a vibe on everybody. I'm a big believer of positive brains, and when you
Michael,
you're negative, it does it to you mentally, physically, spiritually. So I don't think it's bad.
Michael, sorry, you're totally breaking up, but dude, we do not understand a word you're saying.
Michael, on top of the Google Hangout, there's like a little thing that looks like an mobile antenna icon. If you just lower that to the left.
I'll come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you might have reloading might help. Yeah. I'll give him a minute here. I don't know if he's gonna reload or what. While he's doing that, does anyone else want to comment?
Well, I mean, I definitely agree with the preference of good thoughts are better than bad thoughts. I mean, you know, obviously that goes without saying. I think even, you know, everyone in the room can agree with that. But in another sense, though, it did kind of seem like, you know, there's some sort of material sort of aspect to it too. So maybe there's a fine line to walk. I don't know. I mean, what's your take on it, Brother John? Let's hear your side.
I'm still trying to understand where you and Prescott are coming at, because I don't see the psychologist doing that unless, you know, I don't know. I'm just seeing that they're just trying to recognize a problem, and maybe, and then, you know, with these like 10 questions, like we're gonna get into these toxic thoughts, that, you know, these things, if we're aware of them more, perhaps that we can have some kind of change about it. I think it's just about them bringing about awareness. I don't necessarily think it's something like you're equating to red and blue. I don't get that part.
Well, I mean, when it comes to the negative aspects of how people look at themselves, I mean, a lot of it's superficial. I mean, you know, the way you look is really, it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, with the way you look, it doesn't really should have anything on your impact on your happiness, right? I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there are some things that people do that take it a little bit too far, I guess.
Yeah.
But there,
But
like I
perhaps,
said before, there are bad thoughts and good thoughts. We should nurture the good ones, right?
yeah, and I think that's half the battle, especially like you're dealing because I do believe your thoughts control your emotions, and what you tend to dwell on is going to be more dominant as far as your feelings and emotions. And I mean, I definitely agree with that part. Um, well, maybe I just will go on to the different other thoughts because yeah, I mean, in that introduction, it just touched upon pretty much superficial things like being a millionaire and getting on the cover. But some people do. I mean, that's just one thing, and that's probably part of the first question about the toxic thought of being a loser, and and thereby comparing yourself to other people. So let me go to this first one here. And it was toxic thought number one. I'm a loser. Feeling inadequate or unworthy impairs your ability to function at home and at work and to forge satisfying relationships with family, friends, and colleagues. Don't feel that by telling yourself that you're no good that you can quote unquote shame yourself into doing better. It just doesn't work that way, the experts say. To have a healthy emotional life, you have to change this limiting belief, says Kelly Caso, a life coach. So here again, we have this toxic thought of a loser, being inadequate, not being able to do something. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm on board with that. I mean, you shouldn't have those thoughts about that. I think everyone's a winner. I know that's like a cliche kind of like nuance kind of thing. Is like we all win blue ribbons, but I don't know. I definitely don't think people should view themselves as losers.
hmm it's funny you said that something about everybody a winner, and my I was having dinner with something with my wife, and I don't know, I forgot the context of what came up because she was talking about I guess her class because she was sharing some of the students' comments and their appreciation for her as a teacher, and she said something about everybody's a winner. But see, we had earlier a conversation. I mean, that whole idea, like at some of these competitions where they want to give everybody a trophy. I mean, I'm not into that. Okay, because I think I mean nobody can be a winner unless somebody loses. Let's just be
Right.
honest,
Well, that's going a little bit too far. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. But everyone does have value. Everyone can quote unquote I guess win at something. Everybody has a talent. Every, you know. Uh, so I think it's getting past some of these toxic thoughts that we allow to plague us to become all that we can be. You know, realistically, of
Isn't
course.
that the motto of the army? Be all you can be. There you go.
Yeah. uh, did Michael get back in or what? What happened? No, he
No,
didn't.
he got. I think he's raptured.
Mm.
He must be one of the elect. Special him. Lucky him, huh?
Have you ever? Did you? Reuben says we are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. Yep. Buddha. Yep.
Yeah, I hear you. Buddha.
Gandhi said, right, to be the change you want to see in the world, right?
Was that him? Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, was that Sophie? Sophie or Sophie? Was it Sappho? I'm sorry.
Peter's his name, I think.
Oh, Peter. You had something to say?
All
Peter,
right,
what's your 2 cents?
so it's good to be. Sorry if I say this wrong.
Not at all.
Uh, sorry. It's the opposite of pessimistic.
Optimistic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you have to remember you have to be in reality. So I mean, somebody told me that I'm being a loser, then I have to understand why they're calling me a loser.
Because they could be telling you the truth.
Yeah, so I had to change myself,
Right.
you know? So not.
Well, I
not
mean,
every,
a lot of people, though, Peter, you got to be honest. People put people down just because they're jealous or envious too. You got to watch out for that.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I was gonna say the same thing. Some people might say things like that because of their own low self-esteem.
But how does he know that if he doesn't allow the question to be asked or to consider the possibility that what they are telling him might be true? Like I think what he's saying is that it is one thing to be optimistic in how you approach things, but we also have to be realistic in
Yeah.
that just as you're saying that it's possible or it's not possible for everybody to be a winner, it's not always possible when somebody tells us something negative that they're just being nasty to us because they actually might be honest.
Right.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, like I mean, if someone says, "Okay, I enjoy playing basketball. I have a lot of fun doing it and everything," realistic, but yet they're like, 5'2" or something. I don't know. Even though I've heard of some pretty short. I mean, by basketball standards.
Well, isn't there a Canadian basketball player who's pretty famous?
Yeah, wasn't somebody that he was like 5'10" or something like that?
I'm pretty sure Canadians invented basketball, didn't they?
Yes, we did.
Oh wow.
With Pete Baskets.
Okay. So, right. I don't know about all the beginnings in basketball in Canada. I'm just
Yeah, it's okay. I gotta interrupt the conversation there. I'm sorry there, Brother John.
Okay, I'm just trying to make an example here. Okay. God.
I thought we were changing the topic. Okay, go ahead.
It's okay. Okay. All right.
Basketball.
You might like basketball, but if you're a midget, you're not going to get into like the being pro. So that'd be realistically, I'm not going to be a pro, but I can still enjoy basketball. I can still enjoy. I can enjoy watching basketball. I can even analyze it, maybe even talk about it, even be a sports person, because I like basketball.
I think the thing is not to have delusions of grandeur. I think that's what we're trying to get at, right, Brother John?
Yeah, and I said that earlier. We have to realistic, ideas. Okay, I mean, listen. I got myself. Past couple of days, I'm feeling like really, really fucking fat. And I'm like, and I know I gotta lose 20, 30 pounds. Okay, but it's not gonna come off in a week. That's not being realistic. I gotta do what I gotta do. Exercise, eat right, and so all that good stuff. And it's going to take a certain amount of time. Expecting it to happen overnight is not going to happen unless I go for freaking, liposuction or something like that. So yeah, be realistic. Yes, most definitely. But also, but if you're trying to do something and you got people around you and they're constantly bringing you down, I mean, sometimes you have to look at where it's coming from too. So I think it's in a matter of what context it all is. How's that? Sound good?
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I would take what you say to me, Brother John, over some, faceless troll on the internet. Because I think you are a good, decent person, and
That's
I
not
think
very nice, calling me a troll. Just because I'm hijacking John's hangout.
Nah, you're not hijacking it.
I'm teasing.
Because as soon as I determine there is a terrorist on board, I can easily eject them.
Magic ban button, I got it.
Yeah. It would take a lot. Hey, man. Prescott, I think you would have to do a complete 180 on me for me to kick you out of the room. Yeah. I don't know what happened to Michael, but yeah, I was really wanted to get him more involved in the conversation. Just got to know Michael last couple of chats, and he seems like an alright guy.
Looks like we've got a cave troll in the room now.
Do we?
Oh, that's Ruben. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, Ruben, I don't want to put you down. I know there's like this is not what we're doing, but God, you're fucking ugly. Sorry, was that too much?
I think Ben took my picture now, and he put me in a yellow dot there or something. I don't know. Oh no, that's a
Pretty good. Ben's a good drawer. He's get it, yeah. Good
why
job.
pick a different angle. Okay. Shall I
You're
go
not-
to the next thought? Oh, what monster is that? From what movie is that? It looks familiar. Oh, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's from Lord of the Rings. When they go into the mines of Moria.
The Mines of Moria. I forgot it. To tell you the truth.
The NSA, the only part of government that actually listens.
All right, next. I'm gonna go next toxic thought. Let's see. How far we can go with this.
All right, we're gonna run each weed out by the roots, one at a time. Let's do it.
You know, I'm trying. You know, I try here. You know, I'm trying to provoke thought here. Come on.
No, that's good. No, good. Yeah.
Toxic thought number 2. Someone else should. Forget this Disney-esque fantasy. In reality, the only one who's going to save you is you, says, again, this life coach, Kelly Kassow. Be your own Prince Charming and take responsibility for all the different areas of your life, including your health and happiness. Someone else should. You know, the first thing that comes to my mind is people thinking the government should take care of them. You know, wanting a nanny. You know.
That's because you hate poor people.
I hate poor people. I don't hate poor people.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that one, John. I like that. Yeah, government, yeah. Seems like that's the thing. Isn't it kind of, I mean, in a way, it's kind of lazy when people say, well, the government should do it. Why don't you do it? If you feel like helping people, why don't you do it? You know?
Yeah.
You're just putting it, you're just passing the buck onto someone else.
Also, you know,
There's a great Penn and Teller quote on that, but I can't really remember off the top of my head. Reuven might know it.
Penn and Teller quote on what?
Thinking people should have the government help people instead of themselves.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to disrupt the conversation. What were you gonna say?
It's okay. Well, I mean, also it touches upon religion as well. I mean, especially I was Christianity or Islam or these ideas of someone coming to save you. You know, so therefore they
Messianic thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, I think so, and I kind of think that that's part of the problem why a lot of social / environmental issues are kind of where they are right now, is because there are people who in the back of their minds or yeah, I don't know if it's in the back of their minds, somewhere in there anyway, is the idea that salvation is just around the corner. It's about, you know, if we just wait, then the problems are going to be addressed by this Messianic or build a temple or, you know, wait for the next prophet, that it's going to solve our problems. And what we don't know is whether or not that will actually happen. It's fine to say, you know, for people of faith, it's fine to say we believe that, but if you don't know that that's going to happen, then the best thing that we can do is actually set out to fixing it ourselves as though that isn't going to be the answer. And if it is the answer and it happens, great. At least we haven't wasted our time sitting around twiddling our thumbs to solve the problem.
Yeah, I
Hey.
posted the Penn quote in the comments there, Brother John, if you want to read that for the audience.
The audience. There it is. It's amazing to me how many people think that voting to have the government give poor people money is compassion. Helping poor and suffering people is compassion. Voting for a government to use guns to give money to help poor and suffering people is immoral, self-righteous bullying and laziness. People need to be fed, medicated, educated, clothed, and sheltered, and if we're compassionate, we'll help them. But you get no moral credit for forcing other people to do what you think is right. There is great joy in helping people, but no joy in doing it at gunpoint. Definitely true.
Here, here.
That's a
I
good one.
second that.
Yeah. Yeah, and like to add on, Prescott, and I guess I had this. I mean, as a Christian, either subconsciously or the thought might have went through my head definitely a few times where you're thinking, you know what, the world's gonna burn up in a big old fire. The apocalypse is coming. You know, Why am I gonna care so much about the environment or the earth and because of this idea that a better life's coming. I'm waiting for that. But meanwhile, hey, God did not God give you this earth to be good stewards and take care of it as well? You know,
But that's back to the two ways that
yeah,
two people can perceive the same thing.
right, the same experience, yeah.
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 I
Yeah.
mean, even to call somebody to say that they have stewardship, how one person might look after a plot of land might be very different than how another person does. One person might plow it, till it, look after it, grow a garden in it. Another person might just let it become a dump heap and just keep throwing trash on it. It's all in how they choose to use the plot of land.
Yeah. I agree. If anyone else have a comment, question, or anything before I go move on. Oh, I want to say hello, Yuri. How you doing, Yuri?
He's cooking dinner.
He's cooking dinner.
He'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay.
As they say in England, tea time.
Tea time. But he's in Canada.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Fellow Canadian.
That's okay. We like the Queen here.
Oof.
Okay, let's not get derailed. We'll go back to the Queen. We'll go back to the Queen later.
Says the guy. It's the guy using Che Guevara as his avatar.
Toxic thought number 3. I need to stay safe. People are often more committed to being safe than being happy. That's why many people stay in a bad marriage or unfulfilling job. It's comfortable. People instinctively resist change. Uh, what's the takeaway? If you want to increase your happiness, you can't always play it safe. Without change, there can't be growth.
Uh, Here lays the problem. It depends on the situation at hand. Because I mean, for me, I'm not rich, so I don't have the power to just change the stuff that I would like to change like that.
You don't necessarily have to be rich to make a change.
Well, for the things I would like to do, yes.
He wants to be a rich man, and in order to be a rich man, you need money. Is that what you mean?
No, I mean like for the things I would like to do to change the world, I would need some type of resources, but I
You
don't
mean
have
like,
those
you mean like cure
resources.
disease or eradicate hunger or something like that, right?
Well, let's say if that's the example, then yes.
But tell us what you want to do that you need so much money to do it.
Certain programs. I guess try to get satellites. No, sorry, solar panels. A lot.
You mean like get America or the world dependent on a renewable resource? Would be like an example.
Yeah.
Solar energy. Okay,
Yeah.
I hear you.
And I'm not just talking about America. I'm talking about like worldwide.
You're a little bigger than America.
Say again?
Your vision is a little bigger than America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a noble thing there, Peter.
Okay.
Well, it sounds to me like he just wants to be the next GE.
Only if GE was actually doing something, though.
But can it the same? There are things that you can do, and still not have to be the rich person to do it. I think also sometimes we can make the excuse that an excuse that, well, it's like even people who say, well, when if I hit the lottery, I'm going to help all these people. I'm going to do this big thing, and that might be a great thought, but usually just multiples of money like that. It's multiplying your own personality as it is. So if you're not helping people now, even small ways, with even the little bit as like on a percentage wise, then you're probably not going to do that, percentage wise or whatever, relative, when you get a lot of money as well.
Well, well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like, let's say if you want to get the government involved, they care about the money. I mean, you really think they really care everything you have to say?
Oh well, wait. You want to talk solar panel? Remember that solar company that went bankrupt after we, we gave it like $800 million and it went bank. Obama gave up.
It turns out actually Obama tried to fund another solar power or energy efficient company, and that went bankrupt too. So 2 for 2.
Yeah. So it was more about, unfortunately, trying to help their buddies somehow. And just using it as the solar energy and the alternative. Green energy, and just using it as a platform just so they can get this money. But anyway.
Well, but I think what you're suggesting is something that Peter should think about. It's one. I think sometimes we confuse the feelings that we have for making change or bringing about change, and we kind of turn it into a grandiose project that takes on global. It takes on kind of a global view. That it's not about just changing what's in your backyard, but you think it's about changing the world. Well, maybe it is eventually, but where it starts is it starts in your backyard, and that you figure out how this works in your backyard, and by doing that you better understand how it might actually work on a larger scale. You don't start with a large scale, and you don't start with lobbying the government for lots of money for something that you believe in. You start by understanding what that passion really is. If it's about, self-reliance, if it's about alternative energy, you can do that in your backyard. Here in Nova Scotia, there was a guy who took these aluminum pop cans and he washed them all out, stacked them all together, and ended up making these heat retaining devices. He sprayed them all black and put them inside of puts them in the, and it heats them up, and they can heat a small house with. Now that's pretty ingenious, because he's just using recycled trash to build these things.
Yeah, I saw a few of those videos, matter of fact, Prescott. I was very impressed, and people have been, fine-tuning that, and
Yeah.
and they're homes.
You know what the sad thing about that is? A lot of people have been doing that, building homes out of recycled plastic and aluminum, as Prescott says, pop cans or soda cans, as we call it in the States. And the sad thing about it is the government comes in and actually tells people that they have to demolish the houses because it's not up to code or it's not permitted or it's not legal in some way. So
Right.
it's kind of a sad fact of reality when people do try to make change that they kind of get smacked around.
But
Yeah.
but I guess what they have to do is they have to realize that. I mean, we ran into the same thing when I was involved in starting a business making stone veneer, and what we had to do was we actually had to approach the local building inspectors to get them to approve the use of our product on building projects within the municipalities that they had responsibility for. That's just part of, I guess, navigating the minefield of inventing something or creating something or starting a business. Everybody has to do that. So it's just sometimes an overlooked thing that
But
when people.
okay, that's involving other people involved in that. But what if just some Joe Blow guy that wants to just build a house on his own property? I mean, I never understood that. I mean, I never understood why the government hassles people like that. We always hear in the news about like hippies who live out on a farm somewhere, and they're they're drinking raw milk and they're selling organic apples without a permit or without a license or whatever. And it's like, why do we have to hassle them? Why do we have to bother them? I mean, they want to be left alone. I mean, let them live on their own.
I agree. And I can't, and certainly I think that there probably is a lot of government overreach that is legitimately, it's legitimate to criticize it. But now I have a small cottage here, and whoever built it did not build it according to code. And now what I have is I have all kinds of problems with trying to keep ants out because they didn't properly do the exterior. I have one wall that's rotted out because they didn't put enough airspace behind the outside cladding to allow for any moisture to run off the building rather than getting trapped and rotting the wood when it comes out. And they sunk an oil tank, a fuel tank, in the ground with holes in it and called it a septic. Now none of this would pass building code, but when it was done 18 years ago, somebody came along and signed the papers and said, yeah, it's good. The reason why that code is there is that 20 years down the road, you don't want your building falling apart because somebody was taking shortcuts, because people do that. And you shouldn't be able to sell something to somebody else when it's basically substandard.
Well, I mean, I could definitely. I don't want to take this conversation in a different direction. I can, add on to that, and yes, I think maybe what we need is a healthy balance. I think what happens is that sometimes yes, we need some kind of accountability via regulations and codes, but at the same time, they could be overbearing where nothing can get done or it becomes too costly to do something, and then it's just,
If we had the means, I wouldn't have a problem with this. By the way, I would agree completely with getting off the regulation trap. If there was a better legal mechanism for getting justice when somebody has taken shortcuts that has cost someone else money. The problem is that it's so expensive to litigate anything or to take somebody to court.
Yeah.
That it's just near impossible to deal with. I mean, one of the reasons why a lot of these regulations are created is because people have been harmed through the negligence of others, and it's just too hard or too expensive to take them to court. So the government steps in and says, well, we're going to start regulating this and hobble people or make people behave to a certain standard, because if we don't, there's all these other people that are going to be hurt, and they're not going to have any way of getting recourse or compensation through the court system.
Yeah, and I mean, the law, I mean, definitely has to, I guess, it has to benefit others But at the same time, I guess the argument can be made that it's not always for the benefit of others. Sometimes it's for the benefit of them or just the system in general. But again, I don't want. I understand your point. I just don't. Yeah, I don't want to get off topic. But I did. Um, but quickly to get back to what Peter was saying. Um, and I think it also touches upon what we were saying earlier about unrealistic goals. And sometimes if we see this, if we make the goal too big, it sometimes gives us an excuse to do nothing, and we get disheartened very easily. So even though you don't have millions of dollars to install all these solar panels, like Prescott was saying, we start with our own backyard. We start with ourselves, and like Gandhi said, I'm going to go back to the quote again: "To be the change you want to see in the world." So it could start off as just doing like solar projects around your home, just to make your house more efficient, and then you see what works, what doesn't work, and then sharing that knowledge with others, through video and blogging and stuff like that. Um, Even working for a solar company or something like that. I mean, to be the next step, but just starting on even on a small step, can open doors to other things and other opportunities and people you're gonna meet that you never thought of, and that will lead to your happiness, because you're doing something that you have a passion for, you see a need for, and you're doing it, you're sharing it. Okay, so with that, I guess I'll go to the next one.
Sounds good.
All right. Toxic thought number 4. I know I am right. People who insist on always being right tend to be people who are afraid of something. The result is stagnation. How to get unstuck? The first step is admitting that you're stuck. That reminds me of the first of AA or something. then
You're always right. You're not going to.
then
Faith
you got to recognize the problem. I mean, you got to admit that. Yeah, you can't attempt to get a solution unless you recognize the problem. Then let's see. First step is admitting that you're stuck. Then look at what the underlying fear is and deal with that. Quote, when I work with people, I explain that these thoughts, however crazy they may sound, all have a purpose that served them at one time, says therapist Heidi Banks, who works in New York and Los Angeles. Looks like they're just quoting 2 people here. It then she said, it then becomes our job to turn that thought around. So people who insist on always being right tend to be people who are afraid of something. They're afraid of being wrong.
They probably know they're wrong if they were challenged. Otherwise, they wouldn't be afraid to be challenged.
Hmm?
I mean, what do you think? They would have to hold some sort of personal involvement in their idea, whatever that is. It makes that part of their identity, and they don't want to be challenged on that.
Yeah, that's like a big old security blanket. I got to feel like I'm right, because if I'm wrong, then oh my God, my whole
You have to change all of this.
yeah.
The thought that links into other thoughts, and you have to change a lot if you're wrong on this one thing. It's like an assumption.
Yeah.
A lot of your logical basis relies on that assumption.
Oh yeah, and we've all seen the great debates going on, and that definitely this can apply. Anyone else have thoughts on that? Have you ever? Okay. Let me ask this. Well, I mean, we're up to. Okay, this is number 4. I mean, does anybody want to, like Peter? I mean, he offered, an example of something going on with him. Anybody want to share something? Any of these thoughts? Have any of these kind of thoughts affected any of you, mildly or majorly?
It's hard to catch these thoughts. I think they affect people without them knowing. If they knew about them, then they would probably want to do something about it most of the time anyway. I don't know, they just don't know. Like, have you ever been around, say, a person who is resentful towards you, and he's like, or he or she does stuff to you in a passive-aggressive manner, but they're not aware that they're doing it to you. But they're actually attacking you constantly.
So I guess then the only way to make them aware of it is to tell them.
Yeah, they jump into defense immediately, right? Because you're insulting them. How would you? Oh, you just always want to be right. It's an insult.
Well, again, yeah, it goes to that fear, because now even that person doesn't want to be wrong. They don't want to be told they're doing something wrong. You know, they don't want to be made aware of it. A person can have valid reasons for the things they're doing wrong, and there's a fear there, losing something. A fear of, you know, some people don't want to be vulnerable. They're afraid of being vulnerable. They're afraid of being humble. They take it as a sign of weakness. They think that they're, you know, they're going to open up themselves to some greater catastrophe if they allow if they let the world know in any little bit way, especially closest people, that they have, you know, a soft spot or a weakness, you know. I guess it goes to that back to that ego.
Well, it's kind of like when somebody's involved in an accident. You know, very rarely does the person who actually is to blame come out and actually say it's my fault, because there's always liability. So they
fear of the consequences.
Yeah, and even if you get, you know, you see this all the time, and maybe it's just TV, but I suspect it's probably real life, where the defense attorney comes in and tells his client, "Shut up, don't say anything more," because it's about avoiding admitting anything, because attached to that is liability of some sort, or a politician that is told, you know, don't tell the truth or your career is over, you know, or don't say you're sorry, you know, you can't even say you're sorry that something bad happened to somebody, because that's an admission of guilt in the eyes of some people. So it puts people in a very hard. People have a hard enough time being honest about their own failures, let alone having somebody point it out to them.
That's actually a good point there, Prescott.
I guess it'll come down to self-preservation in either case, whether it be like in a car accident, as you say, or something of more of a personal issue, like Yuri was saying, maybe, you know, a friend of yours or some, you know, family member could be like that. Always think, you know, they're right. So that fear again is a self-preservation. You know, don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to be vulnerable monetarily, and you know, in a car accident, I don't want to be vulnerable emotionally in another aspect.
Well, to use Rob Hurd.
I'm sorry?
I was going to use Rob Hurd analogy, the herd mentality versus the lion.
Good wolf and bad wolf.
No, staying away from the wolves. But it's this kind of thing that.
No. Let me tell you where you're wrong there, mate.
Let me say something, and then you can tell me I'm wrong. But there is.
Sorry, Rob, if you're listening.
Again, Rob wouldn't be aware of that. Like it's just a pattern in speech, right? Like he's not aware that he's always trying to be right. I think a lot of people aren't really aware.
Oh, well, what I was going to suggest is that the way we've evolved, our our sense of otherness is kind of recent in our evolution, and so being self-effacing and stuff like that usually are not real. They're not generated from a real place. They're more pretension. You know, if we're putting ourselves down, it's really just us acting like we're really putting ourselves down, not because we really think. Because we really got to the place of where
You're breaking up a little bit.
where we can be honest with each other about weakness. Because in the animal kingdom, you can't exude weakness at all, or everyone will devour you. Because humans largely still do that. If someone demonstrates weakness, then they will pay a very heavy price for it. In my experience.
No, I hear you. There's definitely those situations, that's for sure.
There's probably another reason too. There's people that that have a hard time with getting a viewpoint outside of themselves. Like they can see the whole world and you know, from their perspective only, but they have a really difficult time when asked to look at it from a different perspective, and a lot of people just can't picture it. They think, well, this is the way I see it. This is the way it is.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know. It probably I don't know what it stems from, but maybe it's a little bit lacking empathy or something.
I was just going to say that, like, that's that whole idea of otherness, or being able to contemplate otherness. It involves empathy. Yeah.
Yeah, some people, I see it around the world. Like, some people cannot contemplate otherness. Like, it's just, if you try to force them, then they think about it in their terms. Like, they just simply can't see it from any other perspective.
Yep.
And that takes a forcing. So they wouldn't do it naturally.
Well, this is how I often see, like, a lot of the debates that are going on Hangouts and stuff between evolution versus creation, atheist versus God. Both sides play the same game in terms of posturing, and it's all about scoring the point or winning the word battle, getting someone else to admit something even by mistake, as though somehow that will change their mind. Like, I just don't see anybody changing their mind over these arguments. End of diatribe.
Some people just like to fight, debate.
Well, I would say, I mean, some of the debate that I've heard in early, years ago, though, yeah, you have a lot of the rudeness going on and the egos and all that stuff, and just like you said, Prescott, but at the same time, the debates did give me things to think about and to reevaluate, what I believe. It wasn't solely because of that, but it was a seed planted, that's for sure, or watering of a seed. So I think.
But if you weren't already of a mind to inquire, because there are a lot of people that and whose names we will not mention, that it won't matter what is said, they aren't going to change their mind. And I say that on both sides of the arguments that I've heard. It just seems like it's. I understand you have to defend. I understand you have to debate as though what you're thinking is right, but.
But like Prescott, even in your own life, where you had, you were a Christian and you changed thoughts on there. I mean, there's some kind of challenge. Someone brought up a challenge one way or another, whether a debate or something else, that maybe perhaps planted a seed of you, further investigating and led to other things.
What's your point?
My point is that debate can be good.
Well, no,
or
no,
challenges of beliefs, challenging what you believe.
no. I don't. I don't actually. I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with debating. But what ends up happening is it ends up being this and I'm probably going to do a terrible job of explaining it, but it's like, okay, like having watched a lot of the debates between theists and atheists, that oftentimes it looks that they end up getting into the meaning of a word that they'll fight over, and in not agreeing to what the meaning of the word is.
At that point, the discussion's like pretty much over.
Right.
Yeah.
But now they get to that point sooner and sooner in the debate. So you actually you're not actually debating ideas, because it really comes down to, in my mind, it really comes down to what you believe frames how you look at things or how you approach things.
That question, though, should probably be raised like right at the beginning of the debate. Otherwise, there's no point debating.
Well,
like,
sure.
So we got to define our terms.
Well. That's true, but when it gets to the point of defining terms in such ways, indicates to me that the debate will never succeed in going anywhere, because they're not actually coming to the debate for the purpose. I'm gonna leave that, because I don't want to derail what you're doing here, John. But I just
that's why it's a good thing to define them at the beginning, because then you know whether it's even worth debating or not. Oh, okay, well, you believe that, and you know, this is what this means to you. Well, that's not what it means to me. We can't agree, so let's just not debate. Saves a lot of time.
Yeah. If only they would do that, right?
Technically, you're supposed to, in a formal debate, right, define the terms and limit the.
Well, by no means do we have formal debates going on.
Yeah. Bantering.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, if we cannot come to agreement on a definition of terms, then you can't have a discussion. It's like two people speaking totally different languages trying to communicate with another. Exactly. It ain't gonna happen.
Not gonna go anywhere. We're just gonna fight.
Yeah. It's gonna be misperceived. You know, things are gonna be misconstrued and stuff, and yeah.
Well, we were in the room here one night, and Cerberus was trying to simply get an atheist to admit that when he's in a chair, he trusts.
Oh, you're breaking up,
the
bro.
chairs.
Breaking up, bro.
Oh, sorry.
Prescott, I need a flying DeLorean to catch up to you, man.
How is it breaking now?
A little bit.
I think you're talking about Adam Lore being that other atheist, right?
Nope.
No, we're not talking about.
Well, I don't need to mention.
Never mind.
Okay.
Just 1 second here. Let me. Okay. How's that now?
And speaking of Cerberus.
Yeah, speaking of the devil.
He heard his name mentioned and he thought he better get in here.
What happened? Watching.
Welcome into existence.
Well, Cerberus was just trying to get him to admit that, you know, when he goes to sit on a chair, he trusts that the chair is going to hold him up. And the person wouldn't even admit that, like he couldn't bring himself to actually use the word faith as a part of his vocabulary about anything. Because once you get there, like it's just like trying to avoid even the word, when it's just like, how can you go through life and not have faith that when you go to sit in that chair that it's going to hold you up? Like, why is that so hard to acknowledge.
Oh, we're talking about the guy that like I was trying to point out what was knowledge and what was faith, and then
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like it was really it was a very simple, logical. Like if you asked anybody off the street, you know, if you were to go sit on that chair, do you know that it's going to hold you up, or do you just have faith that it's going to hold you up? It's kind of like, well, you know, yeah, I have faith that it's going to hold you up. He couldn't even use the word. Like he was just you couldn't get him to actually say the word, as simple as it was. He actually went around with all of this meandering about, well, no, I don't. I think that it's possible. In fact, I did fall off a chair one time. It's like,
and that's where the defense mechanism comes in, because now him being an atheist, right? And now the word faith is just, you know, reprehensible to him. It's like, you know, yeah, right away it's equated with Christian God, Christian faith, or, you know, because most of the time that's what we're dealing with when we're dealing with God, the Abrahamic faith.
Yeah.
Faith has the spiritual connotations with it, you know, because I could see faith meaning two different things, you know, that of like in, you know, religious terms, and that, like you're saying, something based on your experience and your knowledge. So, but he wasn't even seeing that, despite he's an atheist, and then you think, you know, that's what they're usually, you know, relying on is some form of reasoning. So, but he was equating that word to him, and that language, and the language to him was of a religious tone. So he's like, you know, to him it's like, oh, you're just trying to bring him a step closer to God now.
Or you're just trying to trap me in a corner.
Yeah, you know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the arguments become just simply semantics, and you get trapped in those semantics that you can't even get past the or like you can't get past that to actually having a conversation about the concept or idea, simply because you're afraid of being painted into a corner. So you're afraid to actually use certain words, lest it give the other person, you know, the advantage.
Right.
Because it's not about truth. Nobody's interested in truth. They're interested in winning the.
Well, I hope at least you're breaking up again, Prescott.
I'm interested in truth.
I'm interested in truth too.
I mean, that's the whole reason I come here. Get some opinions.
But probably maybe most though. I mean,
like earlier today,
a lot of us in these chats that we get together, we are people like them, you know, like-minded in that way. You know, we're seeking out truth. We're looking, you know, we want to hear other people's perspectives, you know, for the most part. But outside, I mean, if you just look at the number of hangouts and what's dealing with certain topics, and it's not that many, but it's not even talking about these issues. So I guess to Prescott's point, yeah, I mean, most people are not looking for truth, or they're just looking to, you know, try to convince the world and fight, tell everyone, you know, change their mind to their truth or whatever.
Right. I think I don't think you're going to convince people out of any view that they might have, unless they're open to that convincing. I think it's almost a better idea to just ask them questions, I guess, on topics not related to what they hold very dear, but on similar topics, or topics with the same kind of themes going in them, and ask questions about that, and they will answer those ones quite logically, and it might open up their mind into, you know, looking at things that way, and that might plant a seed which may eventually open up their, you know, walnuts in their brain, crack it open, and look at that in the same light.
And it goes back to what this thing was saying about the toxic thought, you know, admitting that you're stuck. So a person has to admit first that, you know, that they're stuck, that they're not always right, that they don't know everything, you know. It takes a certain amount of humility. And then looking at that underlying fear and dealing with it.
Yep.
And that's why dogma is so dangerous.
Yeah.
It can't be done if it's dogmatic.
So yeah, good thoughts, man. Good conversation. With that, I'm gonna go to our next toxic thought, number 5. We're getting halfway there.
Damn, I missed the first 3.
You'll just
Oh.
have to go back and listen.
Yeah.
Yuri's doomed to a life of what were the first 3?
Maybe when it's off air.
Yeah, so we're halfway there, and we're about an hour in the hangout. So maybe we can get this. All I'll do is get to take care of this topic for maybe we can do it in 2 hours, and then stop the broadcast and then leave it open for whatever. So toxic thought number 5. I'll never get what I want. I think that it says I never get what I W. It was cut off of here, so I'm assuming it says want. Whether you're talking about a healthy body, a strong relationship, or harmonious relationships, this is a passive position that gives you an excuse to not take responsibility for your own life. Furthermore, how do you know if you really want what you think you want?
Yeah, that's a topic that's raised quite often. What do you want? And somebody will say, well, I don't know, I want money, a house, maybe I want to be married. And then these people always say, no, what do you really want?
Yeah.
Like, what are the reasons you want those things? Oh, okay, I want freedom, shelter, and love. And they're totally different things, right? So,
Yeah.
So you have to separate what you want from what you really want.
Yeah.
Figure out the reasons behind why you want those.
Let's see. How do you know if you really want what you think you want? This hurts so many of us. This hurts so many of us is because we don't know what we really want, says psychologist Dr. Angela Wilder, who says she encourages people to give serious thought to what they hope to achieve, independent of what others say. The only exception Wilder would make is when it comes to physical health advice from a professional. Quote, if your doctor says you need to exercise or lose weight, hello, you need to lose weight. She says, why would I call a plumber and tell him how to do his job? So,
Exactly. People don't know what they really want. They don't think about that.
What I want and why I want it.
Yeah, exactly. They think, oh, I want to go to sleep, or whatever they want. They don't ever. It's hard to think of why you want it and the underlying reason as to why you want that. Like it can go a few levels down. So just look at the surface. Well, I want money. That's it.
Heavy.
Yeah, Holler's back.
Hey, y'all.
What's that?
What's up, brah?
Not too much.
I'm not in
Not as much.
Hey,
Your volume's a little low.
Where'd you get these, John?
I pulled them off online. It said, yeah, I'll give you the link.
It sounds like a lot of AA stuff or rehab stuff.
No, I pulled it off because I just put in like toxic thoughts in a search. It came up with this thing. I don't know what I put in there, but it's just from it's actually CBS News. Here, I'll put the link in there if you want. If you like to follow along.
Liberal trite.
Okay. I just think it sounds very familiar. the 2 points I've heard.
See, this is why I was hesitant to even share the link at first, because I didn't want anyone having their biases and getting involved.
This is all bullshit.
Yeah.
I could smell it from the beginning, but I
Yeah,
didn't.
don't you know, Brother John, that's run by Zionist media. That's garbage. Come on now.
See? You're always right. Okay, I don't know, anyone else want to add to that? And then the one part I said, being independent of what others say, knowing what you want and independent of what other people say, except, of course, with the doctor.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
I paint my nails like one night fucking a month ago or something. And my first thing, people say are, well, what is work going to think? I don't give a damn what work thinks. You know, they hire me for the work I do, not because of, you know, something, my hairdo or something.
Right.
But they also don't want you scaring the little old ladies that come in too.
I work alone.
Oh.
The way I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It all depends on the job you do, I guess, right?
Yeah.
With certain jobs, you know, if you're in the forefront, they're representing their company. You know, they want to have a certain image portrayed, I guess. You know, I don't think so I don't know. It's unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, it's more acceptable for women, I guess, to wear nail polish than guys. You know, so.
Yeah, a bit of a double standard. What about like a tattoo or something?
Sure,
Right?
that's true. Yeah, I hear you.
You don't get hired because you have a tattoo. I think that's ridiculous.
I'm with George Carlin on this. You know, I'm not for double standards. One standard is one standard too many.
Excuse me. I'm going to go on to toxic thought number 6. Oh, and here, this is mine. I'm guilty. Guilty as charged. This is my number 1 problem right here.
Guilty as sin.
I'm admitting it here live. Toxic thought number 6. I'll start tomorrow.
Oy vey.
Mom was right about procrastinating. It's often an excuse for not taking responsibility. How to change? Life coach, once again, Kelly Casso, recommends asking yourself, am I more committed to short-term gratification or long-term health and fulfillment?
Short-term gratification, of course.
Short-term, you say short, of course, right?
That's what my brain would say immediately if I asked that question. Yeah, so I would not ask that question.
But yeah, I mean, here, just like my issue here, I know I got to lose over 20 pounds, and the short-term gratifications of the sugar cookies and, you know, the snacks and, you know.
Sitting on a hangout rather than running a block.
Cheese dip.
That's it. So,
Oh my God, Benny, what's going on over there?
what am I missing? I'm in a different window. What's going on? Where's he doing?
Oh man.
What is doing to me?
Is that oh, to Prescott?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mirror the image too. Oh God. That's like gothic Nazi Prescott.
Not the evil Nazi.
I got into some of Yuri's makeup.
But even your present avatar looks a little devious.
Hey.
Now that you look at it, yeah. Didn't before.
That's
It's
my
not
best.
devious, it's intensity. I'm an intense thinker.
Well, if I can't win the fight, I'll intimidate.
There you go. So anyone else dealing with procrastination?
Yep.
Can I get to you later on that one?
I knew so. I'll get back to you.
Some people have diseases, anxiety diseases that are procrastinatory in nature. They can't piecewise all the things that they have to do. So what they do is when they think they have to do something, say it's a term paper or whatever it is, it could be taking a walk around the block, then they think of every little detail about that task and think of it all at once, and it overwhelms them, and they just drop the thought entirely. And
overanalyzing. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a disease, you know.
Yeah.
And it causes too much anxiety.
Mm.
And so you kind of have to piecewise, or just do one thing at a time, or just do it and not think about it.
No, speaking of that, reminds me, someone did give advice about that. Like they were talking about dealing with clutter, and that around different parts of your house, and they said, you know what, just do 10 minutes. 10 minutes, just start something, even just for 10 minutes. If it goes longer, it goes longer. But 10 minutes, just straighten up whatever. You start in this area, and then maybe another time, 10 minutes over here, and do it piece by piece. It almost goes back to that, we're thinking the goal is too big. I mean, to get up a flight of stairs, right? To get to the top floor, you got to take the first step. So,
Take care, Heavy. See you later.
Yeah, go ahead. Good.
Oh, that's right. I don't clean my room because of that. I look at it and I'm like, whoa, way too big of a task. Do something else.
Right.
Every
But
time.
I do find though, even though it's some things that I'll procrastinate with, I do find that once I get going and start doing it, then I can't kind of stop.
Yeah.
Especially when it's coming like clean around like the kitchen or something like that. I think, all right, I'm just gonna pick this little thing, and then, all right, if I know that I have kind of time, right at that moment, then I'll start going the next thing, and then it starts, clean the whole thing. So once I get going, I could probably do it. So as far as me personally, with the whole losing weight, it's just getting going. It's just, getting the ball rolling, and then.
You're stopped by the anxiety at the very beginning, but once you start, it's not all that bad. And if you got the time, yeah, and then the thought that goes through my head is, well, I'm not going to start again probably for a couple of months, so let's just cook up 2 months worth of food, or whatever. So I don't want to cook for a while. Just freeze it all. Spend a whole day cooking. Spend a whole day cleaning. That's what always happens to me.
Yeah, my wife is doing that. She got into today. She started cooking. She cooked tonight's meal, and then she got so caught up, and then she cooked tomorrow's meal already, and plus made cookies, which ain't gonna help my weight.
I think there's something else going on there. The doctor's sending notes to her, look, you need to start feeding John some healthy food. Next thing out comes the plate of cookies.
And she does cook healthy meals, and she's a great cook. But she also makes good desserts.
Yeah, Starburn. Another thing that actually I think ties into kind of what Yuri's saying is that there's this... everybody has these people in their lives, the judge and the jury. And the concern about other people seeing what it is that you are putting off, like if you actually went and did it, there's the concern about being judged for it or having someone adjudicate or, look at it, and criticize it. And rather than face any criticism, you simply choose to avoid doing it as much as possible to delay that from happening. And that feeds that is kind of an anxiety or a thing that usually people pick up earlier in life, usually from parents and so on.
Okay.
If you want to call that a confession of sorts, that's fine.
I've been to a lot of these anxiety classes and stuff because I suffer with high anxiety. And yeah, it's a lot of this stuff sounds very familiar. Anxiety related.
I just realized, my apologies to those who put in this Q&A in the questions and answers. So if you're in the room, you could probably click on the Q&A if you want to see it, the question. So I got this one question. Do you have any tips for dealing with depression? I'm going to first say I am not a psychologist. I'm going to put my disclaimer out there. But I think some depression, I'd say a lot of it, is my opinion, goes back to what we were talking about, the thoughts again, the thoughts controlling our feelings and watching what we're thinking about. I think besides, I guess, people having really, chemical imbalances, that's something, you have to get get that figured out. But I think if we're thinking depressing thoughts, really negative stuff, that's going to bring about those depressing feelings.
Yeah.
I got something to say about that.
Okay, go for it.
You need to find a charity or find a line of work that lets you help people. You'd be surprised how much that fixes things.
That's a good tip. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thinking outside of yourself, right?
And overanalysis also leads to a lot of depression, because it leads to that anxiety again. And sometimes you can just analyze. I don't even want to get out of bed, because I have all this shit to do and all these bills to pay and all this stuff. And so you just lie in bed and avoid it. And you can do that for a long time, like weeks, if you got nothing to do.
And getting walks and getting some exercise, getting the blood flowing, getting the fresh air, being around nature, definitely would be help too.
You need God, as much as I hate it, you need a system, a routine. That's the word I'm looking for. I hate routine, but it works. You have to kind of eat at the same time every day and go to sleep at the same time and wake up kind of at the same time, go to work at the same time, as close as possible. A routine seriously helps.
Unless it's a religious routine.
Any routine would help, even if it is religious. I mean, with depression, it would. Problem with depressed people is they're out of routine. Completely. Some days they're good, some days they're not, and they're constantly going back and forth, changing. You can't do that. You have to force yourself.
There are some religion. I mean, right away, Prescott, you had me thinking of a scripture. I think it was in Timothy about.
Blame me.
The whole list of think on these things.
Whatsoever is good.
There you go.
And kind. Long suffering. Patient.
There you go. Thank you. All right. On to toxic thought number 7. I will be happy when ...
Benny's dark sometimes.
I will be happy when. This quote-unquote someday fantasy keeps you from enjoying life. Instead of living in the present, you're waiting for something that will allow, quote-unquote, you to make changes. People who live in the past or fantasize about some future event tend to be less happy than those who live in the present. Oh, I'm very big on this, living in the present moment. Definitely. I think, part of going back to some of that depression is living in the past. It's living in regrets. The what if question, and then people deal with anxiety because they're projecting too far in the future, and then we miss the very moment that we're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people they just want to say they want to get married or something, and then they spend their whole life trying rather than just living in the moment, and it'll just kind of happen.
Mm.
They try and try and try, but they try too hard, and they scare off potentials.
I don't know. I'm generally happy. I even find some terrible things to happen to me to be kind of funny. But I think I'll be deliriously happy when I know I've left the world a better place than I found it. I think John remembers my list. That's kind of what I'm referring to.
Get off of me.
Can you give an example, Cerberus, of something that terrible happened that made you hilarious? Laugh.
Oh, it happens with a lot of things, but my truck recently broke down, and I've been kind of fixing it. That kind of on my own. I've had help with my father and friends, right? but it's always hilarious that it's never what I think it is, and I always end up breaking as much stuff as I fix. I find that kind of funny to me.
But now? Can you find it funny when it's happening?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good because I mean, I get frustrated at first.
Yeah, but I always think about it like if this was on a television show, this would be hilarious. The bumbling guy that doesn't really know how to fix this, but he's trying, and the shit just keeps on breaking on him. That's kind of how I think about it.
Like a Mr. Bean.
That's a good attitude to have. That's good. Definitely.
I think you need to get a GoPro camera mounted on your head.
I tell you what, if someone buys me a GoPro camera, I will put it on my head.
Call it so was it?
You promise to wear it all the time.
I'm sorry.
I will.
If you promise to wear it all the time and post everything on YouTube.
I would have to draw some limits with that, like sexy time, and obviously I couldn't wear it when I wore a fire helmet.
Okay, well, okay, I'm fine with. What do you? Oh, never mind.
Oh, fire helmet, that'd be cool.
I mean, if you could find a fireproof one, maybe.
To see you go into a fire with a camera on. Yeah. Wow.
Well, I'm more on the medical things nowadays, but it happens every once in a while. I still jump into a fire.
Have you well, okay, I'll ask later on. Hopefully, I'll remember the question, job related. But okay, I don't want to derail. But no, I mean having that attitude when something's really I mean, for me, it would be frustrating. I probably get if something like that happened, I'd probably get upset first, and then probably I could laugh about it later on, looking back, you know. But to be able to do it immediately, that's
the only difficult things that frustrate me is when it's happening to things I actually know about. Like I've been building and maintaining computers since I was like 8.
wow.
And when I know something's supposed to work and it doesn't, that pisses me off.
Mm.
It's when I know I'm stupid about what I'm doing. That's when I think it's funny.
Yeah. When you write a program, it's not the computer's fault. It's your fault if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I guess that would just stuff like that help you tweak problem-solving skills. I'm going to toxic thought number 8. It's all their fault. The blame game, right?
Yeah.
Playing the victim may make you feel better for a split second, but ultimately you are passing the buck on your own emotional health. So what to do? What to do if you catch yourself blaming your spouse? For example, you break your diet. Shift the focus, says Dr. Debbie Maggots, a psychologist in New York City. Quote, hold the mirror up to yourself and take responsibility. It may sound harsh, but what will happen, she says, is that instead of feeling helpless, you will feel empowered to change. Kind of goes back to what was like the first or second one when we were talking about
that's like admitting you're wrong. That's
responsibility for your life was mentioned in one of the earlier ones. Now, yeah, again, that's the pride, that's the ego, right?
If you admit you're wrong, then you have to you have to take responsibility. And same with the blame game, right? If you admit the blame, same type of thing. You have to take responsibility. That's stressful. People avoid it. Some people.
Adam pointing to Eve to pointing to the serpent.
Yeah, exactly. God
Hey,
looks
all bullshit.
Even the serpent's pointing at God.
Yeah. That's why he took his limbs away, right? And made him crawl on the ground.
Yeah.
You see him point back at God and accuse him. All right. Yeah.
That be listen to you, serpent. One finger pointing at me is 3 more pointing back at you.
Yep. Okay. Toxic thought number 9. Oh, and this, and here. Oh, I could definitely comment on this. Toxic thought number 9. I'll try. That is a word that I attempt to avoid when
Try,
something.
why not?
Right, I'm not gonna say try to avoid because because I think that word almost implies a certain defeat already out of the get-go.
I'll try, but not my hardest.
Right, I'll try. Yeah, I'll try. You know.
Might do it.
Yeah. Let me read the rest of this. There's a saying: "Trying is lying." When you say you will try, you are not really committing to serious action. There you go. You're giving yourself a way out. What should you tell yourself instead? Easy. Just banish the word "try" from your vocabulary. That way, when you say you will do something, you are energetically committing to do so. Think you need a therapist to work through all these negative thoughts? Think again. You don't necessarily need a PhD to help you. You can look in your community and find a role model, says Dr. Angela Wilder. She suggests looking to the friends and associates, anyone who appears to have achieved the sorts of health and lifestyle goals you seek. It takes guts, she says, but you might be surprised at the results. Right? Like if you're trying, if you want to be good at something, say playing chess, you're going to find people who are better than you to improve your game. You know, that kind of thing. You know, look for those examples. People who did not only try but did.
Yeah, or it's people use it to hey, do you want to go to this boring ass function with me? I'll try to make it. You don't want to hurt the guy's feelings. But
when I hear that, I know you're not going.
Just say no. I'm not going. Sorry.
Well, you trying not to hurt my feelings or something, or
Yeah.
You don't want to look like the bad guy. Like saying no is a bad thing, right? I mean, I'd rather you be honest than tell me a fib, right?
Exactly.
I think you might want to reconsider what you wish for sometimes, though.
I don't know. I got this problem with my parents. They want me to go to church on certain occasions, and they kind of ask everybody in the family. I outright just say no, I'm not going. But my sister has a real hard time saying that. She goes, I'll try, and she kind of pussyfoots around over and over. She gets talked into it, guilted into it every time.
Mm.
But if you just start out with no, then there's conversation over. Okay. So, how's your day?
There's a certain probably a fear of not being loved and accepted as well, because you want to please other people.
Yeah, you want to please your parents, though, hey?
So
do stuff for them all the time. They raised you. I mean, they did everything for you.
And now you can say,
at least you
raised me to be an honest person, right? To have some integrity, and here it is. I'm being honest with you. If you cannot appreciate that, then what sense was trying to instill these values into me?
Well, you should have instilled them and not tried.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to go to the last one, unless anyone else has something to say. No? Okay. Number 10. Here we go. Oh, God, again, it's cut off. Making a mistake with, I don't know, WI. Oh, God, I got to...
Make your browser window bigger.
No, Unless you see it, I don't.
No, I didn't even go to the page.
Okay. Well, I'll just read the paragraph. I'll just read it. People spend way too much time agonizing over decisions. Debbie Maggots again, clinical psychologist in New York. It can be debilitating. On top of that, she says, agonizing over the right cause can lead to procrastination. So what do? People have to self-talk and shift their thoughts, he says. They have to tell themselves that if this choice ends up to be a choice that doesn't get the desired result, they can always make a new choice. The world will not end. They will not die. There is always another chance.
Making a mistake will ruin my life.
Making a mistake will ruin your life?
No, that's what the title is.
Oh, thank you.
Actually went there.
So, fear, right? Getting over that fear.
Making a mistake?
Taking, certain risk, I guess.
Perfectionists, eh?
Mm.
I can see how that, if you haven't...
Actually, that fear of making a mistake and then, leading to that procrastination. So it's like one toxic thought starts, piling on another toxic thought.
Yeah. Or if you have a reputation to uphold, you do a certain quality of work, and everybody knows that quality, then you're going to continue. Now you're stuck in that quality of work, like whatever you do at work. Because if you do less than that quality, then everybody's going to look at you like, what the hell? Fired. Get out of here. Ruin my life. Or they'll just look at you. You're off today. People get stuck in perfectionism. Other ways too.
Yeah. So, well, we went over 10 toxic thoughts. I think I see a lot of overlapping with the thoughts and how they kind of get integrated. Anyone want to, before I close just this part of the broadcast, anyone want to share anything? Add anything?
Well, it's not like they're going to name the article 6 Great Thoughts for blah, 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 and 4 semi-lukewarm ones.
I forget who asked the question about depression. I just remember the name. Look up Manly P. Hall's book, The Purpose of Life. Read that.
Manly P. Hall, The Purpose of Life. I think I'll make that a personal note for myself.
Yeah, reading that one. Manly Palmer Hall. There's an audiobook anyway. You can actually read it. Somebody will read it to me, though.
Wait, where's an audiobook at?
You just type in Manly P. Hall audiobook.
Is it on YouTube, or is it just on...
Well, it's always on Amazon.
Oh, it's always on Amazon. Okay.
Yeah, you can always get it from there. We're live. Shut up.
Well, as far as I know, Manly P. Hall stuff's in public domain. He wrote his stuff for people.
But he wrote like Old Testament wisdom, Codex Rosé Crucius, Words to the Wise.
Oh, he wrote lots of stuff.
Morals and Dogma of Albert Pike, Guru, Orientation, Theory of Education. He's got a lot of shit.
Wow, last one.
Yeah, he's been around since like the 20s.
He's dead now, right?
Actually, I don't know. He might still be alive.
He's one of those women's in Florida voting.
Okay, I'm going to just close up this part of the broadcast. Everyone, thanks for watching. Hey, toxic thoughts coming. Think of 2 or 3 positive thoughts.
Preach it.
Preach it. Be well. Namaste.